crawl into the underworld. Afterlife, on the beach protect you. And the light, goddess of the sun, brings you life. A deity, best it is her name. Come learn the ways of man, become one with the sand. The fate is in your hands. It's time to fight. Human rise, not fall. Never lose hope on the ground. We are one for all. The truth will always conquer. Capture the earth, chasing your mark. Get like mystical formation. Turn on the walls, beat on the drums. Let us claim this is war. In the dark, a river flows. The Nile is so big power. A morning star is seen in our side. In the light, find your desert altar and your shrine. Look for peace, defeat the enemy. Run to the obelisk, defend this legacy. Fly to your destiny. It's time to fight. Human rise, not fall. Never lose hope on the ground. We are one for all. The truth will always conquer. Capture the earth, chasing the mark. Get like mystical formation. Turn on the walls, beat on the drums. Let us claim this. We rise, reach for the sky. Hold on to your weapons with pride. We rise up higher. Conquer the ark. Get ready to fight for your life. We rise up. We're the kings, we're the queens. We're the gods, goddesses of this animation. Turn on the walls, make it our mark. 'Cause we're the kings, we're the queens. Let's win this war.
What's going on, governors? Chiskel here, and today I'm joined by Brian Koo, and we're going to be casting the quarterfinals. Good sir, how are you this morning?
Isgul, good morning. Good morning to everybody watching. We've got a really exciting match in the realm of Bastet this morning, and very glad to be here. Great to cast with you, buddy.
Yeah, man. So there's been a lot of action and excitement already in Osiris League with a few twists, turns, and surprises. And the magic really is picking out which teams are going to have that magic, especially if you're placing your Oryx somewhere. So it's really interesting when we cover the younger realms, because typically less is known about which teams will emerge in those realms. So today we're going to be covering two teams that, look, if you're in the realm of Bastet, you may be familiar with them. But if you're not, these two teams, I think, are going to be really interesting to watch. One is EA, Elevate Anarchy. The other is AC from 3065. So what do you think we might need to know about this upcoming match? Anything in particular that stands out for you about these teams?
I think you framed it really well, talking about the betting and where to place your Oryx and what the odds are for some of these matches. And I think in this case, we potentially are looking at some inefficient odds, and maybe there were some sharp bettors who might have placed an underdog bet on 65 AC here. And the reason I say that is because EA last week, they did beat a former Osiris League champion in 75 DC. They won convincingly. And so on paper, you think, oh, that means EA is very strong. But of course, someone who's really trying to use their Oryx in the best possible way, they're going to look under the cover and think, okay, what what was that win about? How did they win against a former Osiris League champion? And the reality is, what EA did last week, Chisgul, is they cast sneaky tactics early on in the match. They had about 20 speed-tuned marches that were beelining for the enemy obelisk right from the start. They were all in a very tight ball because they were all speed-tuned. And they cast sneaky tactics halfway across the map. The sneaky tactics wore off just as they reached the obelisk. The enemy marches from 75 DC were like just walking to the sky altar, not paying attention at all. And they started swarming the obelisk. And it was an incredibly efficient attack. One of the coolest things I've honestly ever seen in Ark of Osiris. And they just took the obelisk right from the start, teleported in. You know, by the time 75 DC was able to respond and take back their obelisk with their, you know, superior numbers on that side of the map, it was already over. They had already teleported in 7 cities. And for almost the entire match, they controlled that, for the entire match, they controlled that enemy obelisk.
Wow. You know, every now and then you see a team that like, oh, hey, they previously won Osiris League, but they're no longer in that kingdom, so they're beatable. Like, there's a reason. But in this case, it's just straight up an outplay trick, it sounds like, that EA used in the prior game.
You know, I think it was a super well done trick. It's not something that they can. I doubt they're going to try to pull it off again this week.
Yeah, I don't know that you get to use that trick twice, huh?
But,
I mean, you could try it.
Yeah,
right?
They used it against the defending champs, right? And so it's a great time to use it.
Yeah, I think so.
And they certainly have some very experienced players on EA. They're names that when I was watching the match, they just sort of rang out to me. Players like Abiles, players like Winter, Khal Drogo. These are players that I've just seen around ROK over the years, right? Stitch, another player that I've seen around. So they're an experienced group, but at the same time, they also were just they're in a KL. They just were in the Tides of War that 2377 won against 2429. EA was one of 2429's allies that didn't make it into Kingsland. So, but they're the favorite in this match. They're the favorite in this match against 65 AC, which made it to the semifinals of Sobek last season. And so the question is, should EA be the favorite here? You know, that they have less success in Osiris League, and they're in Kingsland, or they're in KVK, where 65 AC is in the off season and has gone very far in Osiris League again. So it's an interesting matchup here.
Yeah, I think the funny thing about placing Oryx is even if you expect a certain team will win, and I'm not saying in this matchup I do one way or another, but even if you expect one team will win, if a team has a misallocation of Oryx from players, you can win big if there's an upset. And you can place a number of bets on those teams because you only need a couple to actually be successful ever, to just completely make up for the fact that most of the time the overdog probably ends up winning, right? But when the underdog wins, the payoff is through the roof. And so it's going to be really interesting to see that balance between EA and 65 AC. But speaking of which, it's time for us to actually pull up the game. So let me go get that now. And in just a moment, we'll jump in. Let's see. There it is. I've got it handy. We're going to go spectate this thing. And I honestly don't know who's going to win. Really cool to see that sort of trick used. Here. Spectate. Confirming. Okay. Having a little difficulty getting in the match.
Yeah, it's not up on my in-game client yet.
Okay. You don't see it yet?
No, here I see it now. Now everybody's able to jump in. Let me jump in before everybody else does. There we go.
Yeah. Okay.
Great improvements to Osiris League this year, where everyone can watch the match. There's no, max 150 spectators. Everybody can jump in, but we appreciate everybody watching on YouTube instead.
But I'm hitting spectate and then hitting confirm, but I'm not getting anything, so that's awkward. Let me just switch my account and try on another one real quick. Now, you're not missing any match gameplay just yet, because there's still the 3 minutes of prep time for the match. So they're all teleporting in still.
Yeah, it was interesting watching EA match last week, they were very, very regimented about their teleports in. One of the most regimented teleports in that I've seen, where six players teleported in, 6 more did about 20 seconds later, and all their big players waited till the very end, got teleported to the back, so that they're going to teleport to the obelisk first, and their other players are closer to the gates.
All right, we are in. I'm going to pull it up now on screen.
Just in time.
Just in time for things to open up. Nothing missed. Let's go. All right. Match begins in 9 seconds, folks. Drop some hype in the chat. EA versus 65 AC begins now. Do you think they run back the trick? Do you think they do it?
I don't think so. But they also used a master strategy last week. There were double master strategy tactics used last week. The other team master strategy to EA's obelisk, and EA used the master strategy to as a defense mechanism. So I think there still might be some crazy stuff going on, but it looks like a much more standard setup here. EA has placed standard wards or standard sentries this time, whereas last match they literally held all their sentries until they were doing the obelisk attack and put them all around the obelisk.
What do you think about the new dot mode, by the way? I feel like it's pretty transformative for the enjoyment of the game.
I did not change my dot mode personally. I sort of liked the old version, but I was watching some other people play. So I like the I think I might like the alliance, changing the alliance members from dots to lines.
Yeah.
So that you don't see them quite as much.
Yeah.
But I like the old. I don't like the sort of cards that you're using to target things. I actually sort of like the old dots. I just think it's a little bit easier to see.
Oh, I love the cards.
Maybe harder to click on, but easier to see with the old dots. But I think it. Listen, I think that dot mode is becoming more and more powerful, and quite frankly, I think people who don't use dot mode, for better or worse, they're sort of being left in the dust in really competitive open field fights.
Yeah, especially for looking at this arc match right now, it's so interesting to see the balance of unit types. Right?
That's okay. That is really good information. You're right. That's cool.
This is right. Like, I can totally get that. In KVK, yeah, you really don't care what you're hitting. No, not really, right? Unless
the health bars are great. The new health bars that you see when you're targeting the player are great.
True. Yeah, that also is really useful information. Yeah, no, I would love to see just a continued push for changes like that. If we had 2 or 3 months in a row, I don't know what they would do next, but oh my gosh, I love these changes, honestly. The more I use them, especially spectating with them now, this is actually really cool to see. Because you can see, off rip here, that both teams are running a lot of cavalry, but still a blend of infantry in the mix, and some archers in the mix. So even though some teams opt for all calves in the opener here, that's not what we're seeing. Also, what do you think the role of staggered formation is going to be in Arc this week? It's actually so much to talk about. We can talk about staggered formation, the new commanders.
Boy, the thing is, you can't switch formations for the marches, right? So they're fighting marches, their main 3 cav marches that you would want to move fast to range something. Those are still going to be on wedge formation. So it would have to be specific marches to fill garrisons.
Yep. That
use staggered formation. And I don't think we see too many of those, right? I don't feel like we see too many double C Julius Caesars running around in these high-level Osiris matches running to a building.
I don't know. Oh, what's going on here?
We do have a rally hitting the obelisk on the bottom side.
I see it.
On the red side. So let's use the garrison here. Let's use the garrison.
Time for Eleanor.
Jan. It's Jan.
Okay. I think a lot of people will not have maxed the Eleanor yet. Let's see here.
Have we seen an Eleanor or a Bella yet?
I don't think so. I'm pretty sure I would have assumed that Eleanor and Belisarius Prime would be usable, but I don't actually know. Let's see. So there were a lot of marches going for this obelisk, but they cut. They turned back to the altar here.
Yeah, big fight here at the desert altar. I saw a belly in the field.
Okay.
So we do have the new cavalry commanders are in Osiris League for this match for this week. You know, as we've already alluded to, tons of changes in Rise of Kingdoms, and we're seeing them all right now.
Yeah. So, gosh, this dot mode is. I mean, chat. Share your thoughts here with what you think about this new dot mode for spectating. But I can't decide if I want to be zoomed in and see it like this, right, with all the marches doing their animations, or if the dots are just better.
I spend so much time in dot mode. I like being able to zoom in and see a little actual graphics and footage when I'm spectating. But I certainly zoom out quite a bit just to see what the overall map is looking like. And you know, EA has there was no presence from 65 AC on the bottom lane on the outside, or on the outside lane on the bottom side, and so EA is certainly pressuring the Shrine of Life at for red team.
Yeah.
Other than that, you know, not a ton of pressure on these buildings. Well, actually, EA has taken the desert altar as well. So EA with a very strong start on the bottom side.
Do you think EA, like, are they going to go building strat here? Like, we do see one ability has been used on the right side, that is the red team, and that is an very standard ability, right? Giving you some energy efficiency, some ability point efficiency here, but the same was not mirrored by blue. I think there's going to be a trick play, actually, and I think we're going to see a trick play fast. That's my suspicion.
It's possible. Not using energetic is very interesting here.
Isn't it meta? Isn't it almost like
certainly meta to use energetic? But at the moment, I mean, they're just, and they lost their Shrine of War. Very very odd start in the sense that, you know, on the bottom side, both teams took the other team's buildings. Yeah. And you know, it looks like EA is really trying to hold this desert altar. They have a minute to go before, just over a minute to go before the capture, and they're just trying to hold it. But you know, mid in 5 minutes, and it looks fairly standard at the moment.
A lot of these buildings are still like up for capture, like first capture points. Look at the score. Like, very few first capture points have actually rolled in. I feel like that's kind of unusual.
Yeah, and most teams are getting their buildings back. Certainly, yeah, so 65 AC is cleaning up the desert altar at this point. They did take back their desert altar, which is a big deal coming to this mid.
4 minutes till arc, though. Like, this is a late entry to the first arc. I think this building game is taking a lot longer than it normally would at the start of the match. And now things are favoring 65, I believe, right?
Yep, they got the first capture on EA's Shrine of War. That's the really big score shift so far, is that 65 AC did get the first capture on EA's Shrine of War. And they snuck there, basically. They snuck there. They somehow got marches past the desert altar. Maybe it was the rally on the obelisk, but they snuck past and just managed to take the undefended Shrine of War.
This is really interesting. I mean, this is going to be such a late arc fight.
Oh, never mind. They're just killing the marches. Never mind. You got me attentive now to a trick play by EA, because you're right. They have not used any skills.
Yeah, they have to know what is meta here, I suspect. And I mean, yeah. The kind of team that does a trick play once will do a trick play twice. It's just a question of how many tricks they actually have up their sleeve. They haven't... Oh, wait, they did capture these. Okay. I was like, wait, have they captured their outposts? But they have. Almost. Almost. Well, now we look to the middle, really. I keep bouncing around to see, like, all right, what is going on here?
As they're gathering at middle, there's a pretty good attack by EA on the Sky Altar at the top side. Asher Benapal rallied there, and still trying to pressure this this Desert Altar building here. And it's what I'm really seeing is a lot of marches that are not mid. Very, very small allocation by both teams mid, and there's just a ton of marches still fighting on the sides. Very, very different than Realm of Horus and Realm of Anubis, where at this point you're seeing almost everybody heading mid.
It is definitely unusual here. Mid fight, EA is positioned on top of this thing, and they have more points to work with. So they're in a really good spot here, and I think this march, maybe trying to scout around, if we just shift between the visual range of these teams, there is some vision, to the back lines a moment ago for 65, but it looks like really, for the most part, EA is in the dark for what the opposing team has, which is why that one march was kind of postured forward moments ago. EA has no clue what lurks in the shadows here. I really like the addition of the Fog of War to this game mode. I feel like it dramatically elevated the quality of the experience and the gameplay.
It did. The changes to Ark of Osiris have been great over the last year or so. The new skills, Master Strategy, has been a nice addition. The wards, as you said, and the Fog of War have been outstanding. And also some changes this week where, and I'm not totally familiar with them, Chisel, but there's new formats where you can sign up for an Ark of Osiris by yourself, and I think you are part of a pickup team or something like that.
Yep.
When you play Ark. So a lot of really good changes to Ark of Osiris to get more people involved and make the game more fun. And for me, it's always been one of my favorite parts of Rise of Kingdoms.
Dust Up now in use by both sides here. It does have a long enough duration that could make sense. But there's still that ability point advantage, perhaps, for the blue team. I say perhaps, because, it's been a while. Well, here we go. Mystical. Bog down.
They might have two more points, but there's not another 2-point skill to use in the mid, so it won't be a big advantage for EA here, I don't think.
No, it looks like everything's been mirrored. Not even, actually. They're still down points. They may be saving a big 5-point ability here. The only way to do that would be to regen a little bit, and then they'll have 5. Belly Prime looking to get this arc. I don't know how to spectate this fight right now. I might actually just be the dots. It's so informative. We can see the sad faces. We can see the quantity of marches and where they're at. Much better this way.
I'll be honest, in my game right now, even if I don't have simplified graphics, I just have the marches are simplified, right? I don't see all the troops. I just see one person walking around. It's sort of a hybrid. It's you don't see everything, but you're zoomed in, but you just don't you don't see everything. I don't even know how I got that, but that's what I've been fighting with lately.
Looks like Blue has got a lot of control over this arc, right?
Yep, EA cleaning up the mid and pressuring some of the sides at the moment. They're pressuring the Sky Altar on the top side. So EA really just seems to have more marches on the map at the moment. They've completely cleared the mid, and they're dominant on the sides. So they might just be able to play this one straight up, Chiz. If they're going to be able to win a mid fight like that, which I couldn't tell the numbers going in which team had more, but that was a very dominant mid fight win for EA there,
with less points deployed. So they are
less points deployed,
really accelerating their advantage. I almost kind of wonder, Okay, if you're in this position, what do? I would say score the arc quickly. Use your extra ability points in the next mid fight to win that one as well. Because the thing is that they are actually going to cap on points if they hold this for the full 15 minutes. So there's got to be something they're cooking to make this worth. Otherwise, I mean, I don't know. I guess they could leak the points and just win the game anyways, potentially. But they should just... Yeah.
Well, no, they're in a position now where if they do fast cap the arc, they will probably have, 8+ points in the next mid fight. They go to mid fight early. They use to the death plus dust up again, and there's just no. It's very unlikely that 65 AC will have enough points to match that. That being said, I'm thinking energetic is probably just about off cooldown here for EA again, or for 3065 AC. They're not using it. Still no energetic used by EA to the point where they probably aren't going to use it at all. And so 65 AC is in a bit of a quandary here as well. Like, do you use energetic and try to build up your points for a quick arc? It's obviously going to be value if it's a hold, but 65 AC, definitely down on points, down on ability points as well, and just trying to get an advantage here off the arc where they do have more marches on the side and they can hopefully take some buildings, which they have taken the Sky Altar on the bottom side.
I just saw something I was not expecting. Are you ready for this?
Yeah, the Sky Altar here.
Belly Prime with Suleiman. What do I not know about Suleiman that would make him... Uh-huh. What's... There, it's definitely... Like, I'm not imagining it. Saw it a second time. Chat, keep me honest.
You know what? It would be nice if they swarmed the buildings, because then we could look at their skills. They were at the Sky Altar, right?
Yep. We're looking at the Sky Altar, just got swarmed out by EA.
I mean, I want to say Suleiman has a slow, but I'm not quite sure.
There's energetic from 65 again.
Okay.
Very efficient.
65.
And the arc is still walking. I mean, I'm just confused. They must have all these points saved up.
They might have just had 7 points mid, right? They might have had 7 points for that arc, and there was just nothing for them to cast. Now, obviously, 65 AC used Mystical Formation at 3 points, which is non-meta, but, a good skill. And so, they had that 3-point fighting skill. They might have just not had enough points to do anything else, or might have felt like they didn't need to use something else.
This is a part of the value of the number of skill slots you have being limited, is that you have to choose. You don't have infinite options. So if you put on your bar a bunch of really expensive tricks or whatever, you may end up in a situation where you have extra points and you don't have an ability on the bar that's appropriate to use. But I feel like they've got to have something. Like I'm just so curious what's on that bar in those remaining 4 slots.
Well, I'll give you a very reasonable prediction of what they had, right? Because this is based on what they had last week.
Yep.
They could have Teardown, they could have Heaven's Grace, they could have To the Death, and they could have Master Strategy. So their bar was very unique last week because they had Sneaky Tactics instead of Bog Down. But I think it's probably just a Teardown, Heaven's Grace, To the Death, Master Strategy, rest of the bar, and there were just none of those skills that they wanted to cast mid for that first fight.
So I guess if I were in that position, then, I mean, I don't know, if their ability bar is going to cap, like, I'd be looking to use Teardown.
If it's gonna, if it's gonna cap, absolutely. But they're probably close. They'll probably have like 9 or 10 for the next arc, I would think.
Oh yeah. No, if they hold this arc, they're gonna be a 10 for sure.
Yeah. Oh, if they hold it, yeah, for sure. It was interesting. We watched last week. Wib used hard push. They had hard push on their bar, and I think they had it on there because they knew their opponent was going to hold. They just probably scouted their opponent and said, "Oh, this team holds the arc. So we're going to always have 10 points. We need a skill to use when we keep capping out. So let's put hard push on there and get some value for those otherwise stale points."
I think it makes a ton of sense. Yeah, like you always want to have an option that brings you value. And the worst thing, I have to think it's going to happen soon, is you just cap out on that bar and you're getting no value. Oh man, look at this swarm. Saladin with Ethelfled. Oh boy. Not what I would consider meta, but some nice debuffs. I'm telling you, that Suleiman keeps showing up on my screen with the Belisarius Prime. I don't know if somebody just wanted to get my attention. They knew I'd talk about it. Yeah.
Very interesting.
I mean, I'm always looking for these commander combos to see what, the best teams are doing. It's just so interesting to me. And even Quan Alex here is not what I would have considered to be meta, but Alex has a ton of march speed. Quan has a crucial silence. There's certainly virtues to having that on the field for your team somewhere. Actually, a part of what I like about Arc is that you could really craft a very precise combination of marches for a swarming squad. Dude, there was another belly Suleiman.
You know what it is? It's the chat is bailing us out here. Suleiman has a 30% defense and health reduction as primary. So it's a swarming march. It's a debuffing march. Suleiman is a debuffer. It's kind of amazing that, playing against some very strong whales who have all these swarming marches, that no one built Suleiman, because it's actually a very good debuffing march for swarming buildings. So I think that's what it is.
So 30% health and 30% defense?
Yep.
So you can get that other ways in a regular KVK. Like you can use Skippy Prime, and there's your health debuff.
Yeah, you can use XY and get a 30% debuff, or a 30% defense reduction.
Or Nevsky gives you the defense reduction. So, I don't know. I mean, that's right. So it's cool, but if the defense and health reduction are coming from the active skill, then they don't stack with other ways of getting those debuffs.
Yeah, I think it is coming from his active skill. Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Curious. Very curious. I mean, we know the Belly Prime is obviously very tuned for swarming. So you'd expect to see a lot of that.
Yeah, and the other thing with Belly Prime, right? And the question of how much we're going to see Belly Prime today, I think it'll be very interesting to see how much we see of him. He makes sense for people who run 3 cavalry marches, right? He fits in very well with 3 cavalry marches. He's high enough on the tier list and replaces somebody like, in an XY march in Arc, you go from using XY Honda to using XY Belly. That makes sense. That's an upgrade. But for KVK, for everyday use, not that many people run 3 cavalry marches. And so Belly doesn't make a ton of sense at that point. So maybe this player here who's using the Belly Suleiman only has 4 other cavalry commanders and is deciding to use Suleiman in lieu of using, I don't know, Honda, Mehmed, Minamoto, something like that.
Could be. I mean, from what I was hearing from KVK results and reports, people were saying that Huo paired with Belly Prime was really strong in the field and getting some nice field reports. I'll say from my experience, I thought he was good, but similar in terms of report quality to, Nevsky and Joan and Huo and William.
Yeah, he makes a ton of sense. He's a very good commander. But it's hard to replace that top tier of cavalry talent. I mean,
right.
Nevsky, Joan, Huo, William are all just so good. They're still also meta. Practically everyone in a top level Osiris League match at this point is running all 4 of those commanders in the field all the time. We're going to see all the 4 of those commanders all the time. And so at that point, you just have to figure out how else to fit Belly in.
Right.
And I think we're going to, later today when we cast Realm of Horus, we're going to see a ton of Belly, because I just think everyone there runs 3 cavalry marches.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, at that point, I mean, it's kind of funny. Like, if you want to do well in Arc, and that's your priority, but you also want to do well in KVK, be a Cav player, right? At least...
Well, not if you want to garrison and rally, though.
Okay. Sure. But for your field marches, it's not a bad plan to be a 3x Cav player for your marches, because, like, in Arc, you really want a lot of Cavs. They just move faster.
Yeah, they're fantastic in Arc. And, you know, because we still see XY. One of the amazing things about Osiris League this season is we're still seeing a ton of XY. XY still shows up all the time. We're seeing XYs in this fight at the Sky Altar right now. And, you know, so it just shows the strength of cavalry in Arc of Osiris, where it's really like 3 cav, 1 infantry, 1 archer is the template.
Chad is asking, who do you pair belly with as your third Cav march? I would say, in addition to the Cav commanders we've mentioned, Justinian comes to mind, XY comes to mind as really great commanders to pair belly with for your final march. Or if you wanted a leadership commander, you'd find a different blend of the combos, but you'd probably put Honda back in the mix. Even Mehmed, and to your point earlier, like newer accounts can use Minamoto. A lot of really good options, honestly, for cavalry. It's a pretty good time to be a Cav player. Why am I not a Cav player?
You can run
honestly?
Justinian as well. Justinian is actually a pretty good open field commander too. And but Arc was returned by EA, so 6 minutes until the next Arc.
And they didn't use any of their points, by the way. So they're
none of
they're
their
sitting
points.
at 10, 100%.
If anything, they've sort of like lost. You know, Energetic would have been nice for EA to have at this point, right? But I mean, I guess they didn't need it. And they do have Heaven's Grace, and they have To the Death, which is very nice to have mid. And it remains to be seen if those are the last 2 skills for 65 AC. Although I bet they are. I bet they both have Heaven's Grace, and it's just master strategy. You know, EA just has master strategy in its back pocket, or sneaky tactics in its back pocket. Which sneaky tactics can be used mid, actually. It does have an attack buff. But, you know, map is pretty even right now. And I think both teams are probably going to rotate to mid early because, well, a little bit of pressure on the Sky Altar on the top lane.
There's not a lot of time.
Yeah.
Like, oh, a little bit of a maneuver going on here. They're going around the outside with Suleiman again. He also doesn't he have march speed as well? Oh, they see it.
He does.
Because of the sentry. Wow. These guys are trying to be sneaky, but the sentry actually caught them in the act, red-handed. Wow. So these guys are trying to sneak around. Get the jump with the swarm. Nope. And the sentry just faded. Wow. That is fortuitous. Nevsky rally. Who's the Nevsky with? Justinian, I would assume.
Yeah, you know, 65 AC definitely making a lot of attacks on the side still with, well, 4.5 minutes left to Arc. Actually, some very well-timed attacks by 65 AC here, where they may or may not get some of these buildings, but their marches are going to die, and they'll have plenty of time to get to mid. So very well-timed attack by 65 AC on the Sky Altar on the bottom side. And actually, this is the rally here. The guy rallying is the same player who's rocking the Belisarius Suleiman.
Suleiman meta
like they're going to take down
incoming.
this. Looks like they have a good chance of taking down this Sky Altar.
Could be. I mean, from my perspective here, I feel like everybody's getting to middle late. That's what I see here. It's like these side fights, these should have wrapped up, I feel like, a minute ago, and everybody would be going middle. I mean, I could be wrong, but if I'm 65 AC,
right on time. You know, I think this lane will get there right on time, but some of these other fights are taking a bit longer to finish off. You know, really a lot of pressure by 65 AC at this point, and even on the top side, they've taken they're taking the Sky Altar, or I'm sorry, EA is pressuring the Sky Altar, or pressuring the Shrine of War, and those marches are going to get late. The Sky Altar on the top side, these marches are definitely going to be late to mid.
Everybody's late, man. Everywhere you look, I see late marches. Like when we cast later for 93T, I bet you they will be, and it's been a minute since I've spectated them, but I bet you they will be full force at the temple somewhere between the 2 to 3 minute mark. And these guys are not going to be full force when the arc spawns. No way. They're all still off on the sides. It does look like, I mean, 65. Well, maybe they'll have stuff. I don't know. Go ahead.
No, you see some teams in Horus. I casted Mimi a few weeks ago, and Mimi, in this interim period, we saw the arc get returned, and then with this interim period, there are some teams in Horus that really don't attack at all. They either just chill at their own buildings, which I think is appropriate, or they even go mid very, very early.
Yep.
And just don't do anything, because when you do these late attacks, like we're seeing here from both teams, we saw both teams do late attacks on enemy buildings. It makes the timing very difficult, because you don't know how long that attack is going to take. You don't know how quickly your marches are going to sad face. Or in the case of, the Sky Altar on the bottom side or the Shrine of War on the top side, you might just win that building. You might take that building and have a bunch of red health marches standing around. So, it complicates the mid gathering. But we are seeing both teams mobilize. We're seeing EA get to the mid faster again and take the temple. They have a full skill bar. And this is a very nice posture to cast to the death from, because the enemy has to charge into you, and you can just cast to the death very, very efficiently.
I just feel like EA's really got a lot of control in this match in terms of the timing of everything. And look at this arc position they have. This is where they wanted to be. For sure. Look at that.
Yeah. Slightly more aggressive ward by EA this time. They didn't like the vision last time. They were like, oh, we have our ward, it's safe. The enemy can't get to it, but we can't really see their whole ball. Let's gather up and protect our ward on this side of the temple. And so they do see everything. 65AC can see what's what they're facing, but their vision at the temple is going to be a little bit more limited.
Yeah. Everybody's making their way to mid. Arc spawns in
510 points. All buildings basically equal for both sides, and a very even score. EA won the first arc, but this is a very even score, so it's still a very close match at this point.
Sure is. Actually surprising how close it is. AC did a really good job with the buildings to keep it as even as it is.
Yeah, they've been able to pressure the Sky Altar on the bottom side quite a bit. They flipped that building quite often, and I think that's made a big difference. Although they have lost their Sky Altar a fair bit as well. So,
this is likely to be the final arc, by the way.
Yeah, I think either team, if they win this arc, they can just hold it, and they just have a massive advantage. There's no reason for either team to return a second arc at this point.
Yeah, it's possible 65AC might feel like they need to go for another arc. And here they're circling. Curious to get this circling going on. I don't know what advantage this will give them. There's to the
I've always tried to figure that out. I think it's increasing the surface area, right? It's your total AoE is covering more territory.
To the death by both sides, as well as bog down. Big combo. This is the 10-point combo right here.
Yep, and so they both had full skills, and so the extra points that EA had didn't really lead to anything. But big mid fight here. Looks like a very close fight here, actually.
Oh yeah. Arc is moving. And it's knocked
Looks like
down.
AC grabbed it.
I feel like EA just has more marches. I'm using the new dot mode.
Yeah, majority of sad faces coming suffered by 65 AC at this point for sure. A string of them now. Big arc win for EA there.
Yeah, like they just show up, get arcs, do stuff with the buildings in between. It almost doesn't matter what, as long as they're not bleeding too hard there. And then they just walk it back. This goes back to what I said earlier, where I thought everybody would be late to middle. And I think from what I'm seeing, if I were on the red team, I would have wanted to get everyone to mid and be there between 2 to 3 minutes before arc spawn. Everybody. Because they had to get this arc, and they didn't. And now, what do? The only option to win this game for the team in red, I think, is to arc ambush. Are they doing that, though? Not exactly.
You know, they're making a beeline from the bottom side.
Maybe they are going to go for it.
All their red lines are coming for that arc on the bottom side.
Yeah.
Although, you know, EA did a nice job. They have a lot of their dead marches that are going to sad face themselves also went bottom.
Yeah.
So they might be able to redirect and sort of just cut off this this mob that's headed towards the arc carrier.
Yeah, it's smart. Ooh. Good ambushing marches on the way, actually. I don't know. This
is the Suleiman guy. This is Suleiman. This is the same player with Suleiman. I don't know if it's going to be out here. It might be.
Dude, this player knows things that we don't know.
Maybe this is their tag. Maybe the AC is their tag. You know what? I take that back. A lot of them are AC something.
Oh, you know, man.
I just thought there was one player on this whole team. My bad. Well, they're delaying the heck out of this arc now.
They're not just delaying it. They're contesting it now. Wait a minute. This looked smart, sending the marches forward, because it's like, oh yeah, they'll ambush the folks coming up. But no, the danger's not there. The danger is on the arc.
He's running to the EA side. This double C is running to the EA side, going for that outpost.
I'm good with it. Honestly. I don't know if this is the safest play, but like, it's certainly the fastest building that they might feasibly cap it at.
There are more red marches headed to the area than there are blue, without question. Without question, at this point, there are more red marches headed to this area.
Oh my gosh, what an upset this could be. What would be safer, having run the arc back through the middle? Or I just can't believe there's all these red marches.
This is a great
behind.
decision. It is an amazing decision by this double C to send it to this outpost. I would have been screaming at them not to do it, but they made a great call.
No, this
just gives you a better
They're
chance.
going to get this arc? Oh my gosh. They're about to reverse this match.
Overwhelming red presence at this outpost. And a double C in the garrison trying to hold it off. Forget about it.
Oh my goodness.
Sneaky tactics now cast.
It's not enough.
EA. Well, no, by EA they're trying to do something. They're just casting sneaky tactics to
this is it. This is it. Oh my goodness. They can't get in. They did it.
They flipped the building.
Oh my
goodness. Can they get in? Oh my gosh.
That right there, I mean.
Oh, that is just a huge arc steal.
Wow.
You know, they just had all those fresh marches. They had, you know, EA won the mid fight so cleanly that they had so many dead marches that had to run and get killed. And it took them a long time to get killed because 65AC walked right past them. They walked right past them and headed to the arc.
I mean,
unbelievable. It's
another day that ends in Y, and it's another team that didn't escort their arc with enough marches.
Oh, you know, that's the biggest. You know what? You know, Chisel, that's a great call, and that is exactly the problem. Because, they probably knew the enemy team didn't have master strategy. The main reason you escort is because you don't want to get master strategy on. But you also have to escort the arc for situations like this, for just pure brute force and time and distance. And they just had no one escorting that arc. They had absolutely nobody escorting that arc.
Yeah, that is. I mean, like, so, you know, you called out, like, hey, they're sending their marches forward to ambush the people that are on their way up. This is yet another brilliant highlight of the value of Fog of War being added to this game mode. That play only made possible by Fog of War. They didn't see that guy coming up to do that ambush, and just that was it. Just GG'd the whole match.
Yeah, that player's movement was amazing. I wonder what, I would love to go back and look to see like what they were doing. Like, did they anticipate that ahead of time? Were they headed to mid late and then they were like, oh, we're going to lose this arc, so let's just swing around the mountain range and cut it off. I mean, that player had 5 marches, or 4 or 5 marches there to just ambush that arc carrier.
Several things had to be true for that to work. The first is the arc had to be unescorted. And the second is that someone had to be on their way or close enough to even attempt the maneuver, right? And then I guess the next thing is that the marches that were refreshing weren't on their way to the arc carrier. And so you end up with this situation that like could have been prevented a couple ways, but wasn't. And that is, okay. The arc was scored. There will be another arc. It's not over, actually.
That's true. That's a great point.
But here's the tragedy for EA is they used 3 points on sneaky tactics. So like they don't have as many points to work with. Like in a perfect world, they'd be coming into this fight with an advantage, but like now they probably won't. I mean, I don't know. They won the arc the first time. They technically won but lost the arc the second time. They might be fine for the third time, right?
They've been dominant mid. EA has been dominant mid in this match. And so, listen, if we say that EA is going to win this next arc and then escort it home with more than like one, half-dead whatever march, then they have the lead. At this point, then they have the lead. The point differential is in 65 AC's favor at the moment because they hold the Shrine of Life on the top side. But the building game has been fairly even, and EA is on the attack right now at the Desert Altar on the bottom side. And so EA is still very much in this match. They just have to right the ship. I mean, that's a devastating blow right there because they really had the match in hand at that point, and they just have to right the ship and keep winning these open field fights as they've been doing for the first 45 minutes of the match.
Chat says you have a plan until your arc gets stolen. Or if you prefer the words of Mike Tyson, everyone has a plan until they get punched in the face. And I
mean,
feel like
that's the beauty of ROK, man. You have to fight the fights. You have to go out there and actually fight the fights. And if the enemy walks to the arc carrier and you don't, they just take it from you.
Man. I mean, this match went from EA is in control and they got this to I don't know what's about to happen anymore.
Yep, and Arc is only 3 minutes away. With that quick return, everyone is maybe a little bit off kilter. There was no prep for this Arc, no setting up the timing. Arc's 3 minutes away.
By the way, there is a Caesar on their way into the building. But he didn't have staggered. He had triple line. Okay. Move back around the map here. I'm really surprised to not see any Eleanor, but it is kind of a big change up here.
I am too. I'm very surprised to not see any Eleanor. But
yeah.
They're using a lot of Gorgos. I'm seeing a lot of Gorgos in the garrisons. And so, different teams and different alliances are actually choosing differently as far as the garrisons go. I'm actually surprised that we've seen so much Yan in Osiris League. I thought we would see all Gorgo, but a lot of teams are prioritizing the speed of getting cavalry marches to those buildings, and also the fact that everybody's using Cav in the field, so it's better to garrison with Cav.
I kind of can't believe this, but 65 has actually pulled enough of a point advantage that they're a building threat as well. And I almost wonder if they shouldn't just be going buildings here. Because they have 2 win conditions. One is get the arc. The other was actually push the buildings. Because they have that much of a lead at this point.
I will also point out that, in the past, EA has done a better job of gathering. However, right now, at this moment, I'm seeing more gatherers on the red side, on 65 AC side.
Now,
there are gatherers coming out for blue, for EA, but I haven't. I mean, it's hard to estimate exactly how many gatherers both teams have. Both teams are gathering fairly heavily at this moment.
This mid fight's starting early.
Yeah, mid fight's kicking off.
I was like, is my screen glitching, or are they just standing next to each other holding hands? No, they were holding hands, and now they're not holding hands. Wow, EA really moving in and just running this fight early. Now's the time, and they're going for it, which I think is actually going to cost them. I feel like EA just got baited into a superior number of 65 players, and it doesn't seem like much, but if this fight had taken place further back, this would be a different story entirely. This engage is, I feel, really, really bad for EA. And the only reason they get away with it is because, yet again, I feel like 65 does not have the number of marches in the middle in total that they could have. Oh, but they're doing buildings. Look, they are doing buildings. They took Sky, and they took Shrine of War. So they are now positioned to win either way, actually.
Yeah, it's, it looked to me like 65AC, aggressively walked all the way to the temple there and almost instigated that fight. It quickly swung to their side of the map as EA pushed in, but it almost looked like they maybe even sacked that mid fight, went in early, got set, they're sad facing quickly.
Yes.
And EA sort of like stuck in the middle as
Yes.
65AC is taking a lot of these buildings.
Yes. I think EA is in a really tough spot now. 4,000 points. This game is
It's
so
tied.
close.
The game is tied. The game is basically tied. They're going to get the arc. Let's just assume they're going to escort it here. At that point, the game is tied.
We
but
can assume they hold the
65AC
arc.
Yeah,
I don't know
65AC does have the
if they cap
points.
the arc. Like, what do you think this time around?
Look at the
You think
flanker.
they're
Look
gonna?
at the flanker mid going for that arc. Like they just want to harass it again now.
You think they're gonna have all these marches walk with the carrier this time?
They actually shouldn't. They should actually just gamble and get these marches sad faced real quick because they need to take with these buildings.
They do.
Oh,
the same dude is coming around the back. Oh my goodness. That is some timing. I don't know if it's actually the same person. I take it back. But there it is. Just all over again. Except this
It's kind
time,
of a neat
aha. They got arc escort this time.
Yeah, look at the escort this time. Just
Yeah.
so many. So many.
Little different.
I kind of like it, right? It's like what if you have somebody who sort of works the outside lane during the arc? Then they refresh, and instead of going mid to mid late, they just walk around to ambush like every arc carrier. It's kind of a good use of like one player to get a lot of value, just to be where no one else is over and over again.
I mean, I think especially that is valuable when your enemy is not expecting it. Once they come to expect it, I mean, you see what happens here, right? Like,
Yeah,
they're like, okay,
big-
we saw you did that last time. Very cute. Not again. Not again.
Well, I mean, look,
hold up. Hey, wait a minute.
65 AC is coming in big on this arc
Hey,
again.
hold up.
They're going big on the arc again.
Hey, yo,
Although-
that's, guys, did they
They can
not?
just take the altar instead, though. Like they can just take the altar. Just take the
Well,
altar.
they
with
could,
all
they
these
could do
marches.
both. They take the altar and pressure the arc in a second. Like, well, yeah, I don't know. This is areas at best. A bunch of players are gummed up though, and it does look like some of the buildings are flipping back. So, like if we consider the buildings an alternate win condition, this is not where their building game needs to be, right? Like, have they accumulated enough of a lead?
They need to defend this
Not
desert
quite.
altar right here. They need to defend this desert altar. Like, you don't want to flip. You don't want to lose this desert altar here. That's a lot of points. It's a lot of freaking points to lose this desert altar.
Yeah, for EA. Yeah,
Yeah, and that Gorgo is just holding on for dear life in there.
I mean, that is the
Throwing
thing
anything.
Gorgo does.
Throwing anything. Yeah, Gorgo. Listen. If you're gonna have somebody here, you need the Gorgo, but you got to throw in anything at this point. Gorgo
It's
Hera.
not. Nope. Flipped. GG. Even if they don't cap this for points themselves, just flipping that for the short period of time is a big win right now for AC because they're cutting the point gain right out from underneath them. I mean, 380 to 650 points per minute. That is going to be enough points per minute for 8 minutes to be a win for them.
Yeah, and in last week, EA did score about 1,600 more gathering points than 65 AC did.
Ooh.
But I'm just we haven't looked the whole time, but I've seen fairly diligent gathering for at least the last 10 or so minutes from 65 AC. So I think they're going to get more, and there might be a full-time gatherer for EA. I hold out the possibility that that's been happening this whole time, but I'm just not sure. And so I think the gathering, we simply can't say if that's going to be a difference for EA here. Historically, it would be, but I just don't know here.
Wow. I mean, we don't know who's won this match until the final moments, because provisioning could still be the difference maker. And there's still 2 abilities unused on the left side skill bar.
It's because they had the sneaky tactics. They used that sneaky tactics out of desperation, and then didn't have Heaven's Grace to use mid, which they didn't actually need it. But it might have been nice to heal those marches so they could do stuff rather than just sad face, I guess. But I think it's just Heaven's Grace. I think they just had Heaven's Grace and didn't have enough points because they just sort of desperately use sneaky tactics to recover their armor.
Gosh, look at these buildings too. They're all red. The points per minute is a disaster right now for EA. And then there's no more arcs. And remember when they held the first arc and I said they shouldn't? I'm just
these teams always hold the arc. It's like the meta standard thing to do to hold arc, but we see that EA has just easily won every single arc. They've been the dominant team mid. And so holding, and you were a little puzzled by it or frustrated by it then. If they had returned the arc, there would be a 4th arc, and that might have made the difference in the match.
Yeah, no, I just saying, I called it at the start of the match. I basically called it. That we were 15 minutes in, and I was like, oh, weird, they're not using this advantage they have, and here we are, where they're getting punished for it.
I mean, listen, the beauty of Arc is that it is a team game. Every player makes a lot of individual decisions, but there are also very big decisions being made on a shot caller level that swing arcs. You see it all the time. The big decisions the shot callers make will absolutely win or lose arcs, and it's a great mix. It's just a great mix of a game mode.
Wow.
Because it's the same person who probably said let's hold this arc for a while is probably the same person who got EA into this position by planning out a sneaky tactics obelisk attack last week to upset the defending Osiris League champions.
Yep.
And so sometimes you're right and sometimes sometimes you blow the match for your team. It is what it is.
That is the tough thing about shot calling. Sometimes the right combination of things happen that just gets you real good. Wow. 4 minutes left.
Yeah, extremely close match here.
So
EA
close.
65 AC up by what? 1,200 points. They have the buildings are stable right now. So many buildings flipping.
The majority of the provisions not cashed in, by the way.
Yeah, not too many provisions cashed in.
So that can still actually swing this match.
Right, it's whether there was a full-time gatherer out there or not, right? Is there a full-time gatherer who's been in the field the whole time, and they've just got 1,000 points sitting in their bags,
or more,
or not?
Yeah, I don't know. Cat says no. We'll see. I don't know. We'll see. I think it's very possible. EA, getting some extra points there. Staggered formation. Love to see the new formation in use here. Although this is the problem with these types of marches, is that they go to reinforce the garrison. The garrison is owned by the enemy, and they're like, wait, What do I do with myself? I'm not a combat march. Where do I even go? And they're just running home. Whoopsies. Is what it is.
A nice hold by 65 AC at this desert altar. They're holding on the sky altar at the top side as well. Like EA's making, they're attacking, but 65 AC is shifted to defense at this point. They're putting their marches at their buildings, and they're holding. You know, these EA attacks are just not big enough to get these buildings at this point.
No, I mean, assuming that both teams are pretty equally matched in terms of their punch, which I think is a fair assessment. Fair-ish. I mean, I don't know. EA did win all the arc fights despite having lost an arc. I feel like it's hard to take the buildings in a meaningful way here. Certainly not with 2 minutes left. Like, what can you do? They have a slight points per minute advantage, so they are closing the gap technically, but it's already like a 1,800 point lead. I don't think they can make that up with the provisions, man. I don't know. I don't think so.
Yeah, so right now, EA up to about 1,800 in provisions. They only did 2,100 last week. So unless they did way more provisioning this week, it looks like they, it looks like they might be capped out. I mean, it's very close though. It's still very close. I mean,
provisions did arrive.
500 points. Yeah, 500 points. Yeah, so there's the provisioner coming in for EA. A big provisioner just came in for EA, closed the gap to about 500 points. Now up to 800 or so. So provisioners coming in, and these buildings are just very important.
Wait, look at the score. It's almost even.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
It's the provisioners.
But these buildings as well, you flip a building here, and it can make the absolute difference in the game. You flip this desert altar. They're coming in on this desert altar. Well defended. You flip this, it might be the game.
Oh, huge provisioner just came home for the team in red. Oh my goodness.
Wow.
For a moment, the score was close, and then it was not.
Matt, really big provision for both teams. They both gathered a lot this match. They both did. They just went back and forth at the end here, punching each other with Sundiox in the last minute.
I mean, we can't assume until the match is fully over in 10 seconds, but this looks like 65 AC has got this.
Yeah, and the timer is always a little bit lagged, right? So even when the timer goes to 0, there's still probably a few seconds left.
Yeah, give it a couple more seconds. Hard to say.
Heavy pressure on this desert altar. Well, EA flipped it, actually. So EA did flip this altar, and now 65 AC is trying to take it back at the last second. All these things can matter in the final result. I mean, they're even casting skills. At the 0.0 mark, they're still casting skills to get as much value as they can.
Yes, indeed. Score is still changing.
Yeah, pretty big lead for AC at this point, right? They're up to almost 2,000 points.
Oof. I mean, you called it at the start that often the places player put Oryx are correct, but sometimes a team should have a little more behind them than they actually get, and 65 AC presumably gets this win. We're still at the 0 second mark. There it is. Okay.
Yeah, buildings. Okay, there it is. Yep. Victory for 65 AC. Underdog bettors rejoice. We got another one, boys.
And look at the provisioning. They also out-provisioned. Wow.
Yeah, they went from last week, 65 AC had 435 provisioning points. They had more than 3,000 more points this week in provisioning, and it was the key. You know, they had to do it. If they hadn't done it, they would have lost.
Wow.
So,
congratulations to 65 AC. GG and well played. Wow. We'll be back in less than an hour for the next matchup. We'll be headed to the realm of Boris, I believe, right? For 93T and their game. So Subscribe if you haven't already so you don't miss out on those matches. You can also check out our channels linked in the description. And we're hoping for more hype gameplay in less than an hour. So we'll see you there. Until then, you have fun smashing the kingdom, and we'll see you real soon, everybody. Take care.